Look like you're pointing at something or doing something.
Pointing, Russo, point.
Look like you're watching a bunch of...
Oh, yeah, there's something over there.
A bunch of homos have sex. That's what happened.
What's up, guys? Kenny KO, day 7 of the 7-day transformation. Eating some food now after we did the morning fasted results. So I weighed in this morning at 250 pounds flat, kind of sitting around that mark the last couple of days, as you guys have noticed. Got the blood sugar, it was a little high, which is to be expected. I took less metformin last night, and then also in the middle of the night, because of how hot it was with the AC unit being out, I came out to drink some juice, very high in sugar. So it's a little bit to be expected that my blood sugar or my glucose levels would be that high upon waking up. My blood pressure was better than it's actually been any of the other days, along with my resting heart rate was more towards the normal range rather than slightly elevated. So it made sleeping a lot easier. My blood pressure being at more of a normal range means that now pre-workout I can start to take Cialis or Viagra again to help get a pump, and then also get another like 12-hour erection again. But everything's been good, feel good. Water retention's kind of starting to come back a little bit, so I think Trevor has a protocol that he's going to have us go under to help get rid of some more water, and then maybe even do the sauna today, help get rid of it a little bit easier. So that's an update for you guys this morning.
All right, what's up, everyone? It's day 7, so I weighed in at 224 pounds again. So that's 2 days at the same weight. I don't really think I can gain weight. I don't think I'm eating enough. Tony ate the most yesterday, and he actually lost weight. So that's the amount of calories you can burn on the super physiological androgen level we're at. I just, like, unless I was eating garbage all day, I don't really think I could put on much more weight, because I'm eating a lot currently, at least considering what I was eating. And then my blood sugar was good. It was 76. And my blood pressure, everything was normal. I had a lot of water retention yesterday. I had edema on my ankles, so the swelling of the ankles. And I talked to Trevor about it, and he took gave me a Lasix, which helped tremendously. I feel night and day different with my energy level this morning compared to waking up yesterday. I feel a lot less sluggish, so it's good that after the Lasix, I didn't actually lose any weight on the scale as well.
It's day 7 of Kenny KO and Ryan Russo's transformation. And every day we've been logging all of our details on these sheets, recording our fasted body weight, fasted glucose, heart rate, blood pressure, sleep quality. What's shocking is that my body weight is dropping again, despite eating massive amounts of food. I can hardly imagine eating any more food than I'm eating. How many calories it is, I don't know exactly, but it's as much as my digestive system can keep up with. I'm getting that feeling where I just want to take a day off of eating again. It's difficult because eating 6,000-7,000 calories of clean food is hard. And if we miss one meal, it's not like we have a big enough stomach to make up for it in the next meal. Now, last night we went to the Golden Corral buffet, and we just pigged out, and I ate so much meat and dessert, and obviously there's a lot of fat and butter on all these foods. I expected to wake up gaining a lot of weight, and I lost even more weight, and I'm shredded. It's as if I could do this protocol and prepare for a bodybuilding competition on 6,000 calories, which is shocking, because most people think that when they're preparing for a bodybuilding competition or trying to cut fat, that you reduce calories. And here I am eating as much as I possibly can, and I'm still losing fat and nowhere near my potential of gaining muscle. So I'm excited to talk to Coach Trevor today and get his opinion on it. Yesterday he said I probably need to increase my insulin intake and I probably need to increase my fat intake, because my diet is mostly very high carbohydrates, medium to pretty low fat, and pretty high protein. So I think we're probably going to, in the future, change my macros, increase the fat intake to help those calories stick, and also increase the insulin. But I've always been paranoid to increase fat while being on insulin. My gut tells me that if I take insulin and I eat a high-fat meal, that I'm going to store all of that fat. But since I've tried everything else myself, and I still lose fat and lose weight, despite eating as much as I physically can, then there sounds like 3 possible solutions. Number 1, lower my drug intake, that my body's burning more calories than I can eat to keep up with, and I would actually gain more mass if I lowered my anabolics, my growth hormone. Number 2, increase my fat intake, and number 3, increase my insulin dosage and frequency. And my blood pressures remained awesome throughout all of this. No problem with the blood pressure. But I do feel the water retention. I do feel the water building up on my heart. And I've been trying to avoid taking diuretics as much as possible, because whenever I take diuretics, I'm so sensitive to them, it throws my electrolyte balance off. So I started taking the natural diuretics more, about 4 capsules of Shred XT or the Expel 750, 3 times per day. And that's been helping. I noticed that I look drier. But I still feel some pressure on my heart, which makes me nervous. It really just makes me want to take a break for a day or 2 from all the drugs and just cleanse myself and then go back on it. Last night, my sleep quality was great because I combined a whole bunch of different sleeping pills. So I go to travel around all the world. I get all these different prescriptions. And usually I'll cycle between sleeping pills. Last night I said, you know what, I really need some deep sleep. I'm just going to take all the sleeping pills together. And it worked great, and I slept amazing. Coach Trevor did the same thing and combined sleeping pills and went into some, hallucinations, sleepwalking, which is a risk when you combine sleeping pills. But thank goodness I stayed asleep. But warning that I know, warning that I know I think I fell asleep and stayed asleep, but you never know. If you're sleepwalking, sometimes you don't know that you're up walking around doing stuff, so that's possible. My heart rate remains elevated, but it's better today, probably because I lost a little bit of weight. But my heart's working hard all day long to keep up with pumping the blood through this amount of mass. Now, I've put on a lot of size on my upper body, and that's creating pressure on both my breathing and my heart, which is uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable at this weight. I can't imagine sustaining this amount of upper body mass all year round, which I know sounds crazy because there's so many bodybuilders that are so much bigger than me, but I think that's one of the things that makes a great bodybuilder is the ability to live life holding that much mass. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good. I don't want to be this big on my upper body, which most people would say that's crazy because you want to be as big as possible, but there comes a point where it becomes so uncomfortable. Now, my legs can afford to gain more mass because that's not going to put as much pressure on my heart or my breathing, and my legs are not growing as much as I would like to. So another thing that I need to address during the rest of this cycle and next time I do one of these bulks is focusing on my legs and trying to put more mass on my legs without putting too much more mass on my upper body. Trevor, I need some tips on how to gain more weight because I'm eating as much food as I possibly can. I'm taking 20 units of insulin and
Oh, Mr. Editor, okay.
Trevor, I need some tips on how to gain more weight because I'm eating as much as I possibly can. I'm taking 20 units of growth, 20 units of insulin per day. I know we're taking the 50 milligrams of ligandrol per day, which is one of the most anabolic substances there is, and increasing my caloric demand. So I'm just not sure, do I change my macros to be able to gain more weight? Because I'm losing weight. I'm looking at my chart. I'm actually losing weight. I'm losing fat. And I'm getting shredded despite eating as much as I can. So do we drop the dosage of ligandrol? Is it so anabolic that it's burning more calories than I can consume? Do I increase insulin? Do we change the macros and increase fat intake? Do I just work out less so I burn less calories? How do I gain more weight?
So you named an option for everything that could be the responsible reason why this is happening. I'll start with the very first. When you growth hormone, if you're taking too much drugs or too much growth hormone, let's start with that because you could go to 30 units of growth hormone and put on a lot more weight on this seven-day blast. The side of it though is now your insulin has to do it too. So the longer you start running these large doses of growth hormone, you only start to lose weight. So you always hear people say, take growth hormone without sugar or take growth hormone without insulin. And this is the worst idea you can do because your sugar is going to go up and you're going to get his problem where you're only going to lose weight and then your blood glucose will be 300, 400, and then it'll start climbing until it becomes a real problem and you can't fix it. So those two do go together. So you could actually go to 30 units today. Your insulin will have to adjust accordingly too, which even right now, say you're doing 20 units of insulin, I'd probably bump that up to, 28, to be honest, just because you're losing weight. maybe even 30. So when you add another 10 units, I would add that extra 12 to 15 units in it. And that's how you offset that. Now, say you were doing just moderate doses of growth hormone, the other way is we get into this thing where we have to eat. That's the most important thing. But when you start overindulging, you start holding a lot more water. You start putting your body under a lot more stress internally. And not just that, it's not the drugs causing your waist to distend. And it's not causing the drugs to make your waist this much wider. It's not that, that's the food. And it usually has to do with insulin while you're doing that. So this thing starts to stretch. When it stretches, what happens when you start doing static stretches? You get micro tears, then you get inflammation, healing response, and these things get more elastic and they start to build. That's what ends up happening when these guys are taking large amounts of insulin. They're eating that much food with it. The best way to take insulin is when you're not eating as much food and you can make up for the storage with insulin. Because if your insulin's always low all the time, and we're working out, you'll just get shredded and shredded. You'll favor muscle growth, but you're not going to have that. That's the delivery and storage hormone, the most anabolic one we have. So we can't lose sight of that. When we're doing it in 7 days, it's okay to keep bumping up insulin because we can cause some damage and get to 150, but we can't get anywhere to 300. And after that 150, with slim pills, it goes back to normal in 2 weeks. That's why we do it in 7 days.
So I'll increase my insulin dosage today and see if I put on more weight.
Yeah, and then again,
You think I should keep the diet the same? I'm afraid always to increase fat intake.
Okay, so that's the other thing. I keep telling you, when you started this, what were you, 195 or something? 90, when we met? 190?
Oh, weight, my
180?
body weight? Yeah.
And so now you walk around, is it 230 sometimes?
Yeah.
So that 50 pounds, once you start getting over 200, then 220, you started having episodes of hypoglycemia. Remember that? Mm-hmm. These things happen in your body where your calorie demand, every single pound of muscle starts to go up and up and up because these things add up. And then if you're not getting that and not getting the sufficient nutrients, you're screwed. So that's why I say you could do your standard diet, add the fats in. You don't have enough calories. That's your biggest problem. When you did put the calories in what you should have been eating, you lost the weight. That's your metabolism increasing. So your metabolism caught on and said, oh, we have all the food we want. It starts to skyrocket because it was down here. And then you lost weight. So you should be past that. You should be eating more than that. But we don't want you to feel sick. We don't want any pressure on your internals and anything with your digestive system, make it just overall well-being feeling. So we can keep the food the same, just add fats, and we'll up your insulin.
What if during the daytime I took 30 units of insulin with a high carbohydrate, low fat diet, but then after the insulin's out of my system, so during the nighttime I went with a high protein, very high fat diet with no carbohydrates?
So I wouldn't look at it as timing your drugs. Time your food, which will make you time your drugs. And I say this because even if you had the fats and carbs present at the same time, when you're doing the insulin, your body still needs to find energy. So it's still going to break down energy. It always will. And with what we're doing, the hormones we're doing, and the training and the growth hormone, it doesn't matter if you're injecting the insulin, it's going to find what it needs to burn. And you're on the growth hormone, and it will come from fat. So, no, you can eat what's comfortable to you. I mean, if you don't want to make some because you think you'll be bloated, definitely don't make some pre-workout. Do what you feel is best. I kind of like start leaning towards now more fats before a workout, a little bit further back, because then when I do have carbs, the compensation effect is there, but I guess it's just the endorphins. But that's a good way too, just keeping the stomach light, so time the nutrients a little bit more.
What makes me most nervous about this transformation or blasting like this is, and the only side effect I really care about, because I don't get hair loss, I don't get acne, I don't have any libido problems, my fertility is fine. The only side effect I get from all these drugs and all these steroids that I can feel or that I'm worried about really is the pressure on my heart. Now, I'm not suffering for that much water retention in my body. It's not too bad right now because I'm taking the natural diuretic seems to peel off a little bit of the water. But that pressure on my heart, it is water related, right? I mean, I feel like someone's pushing on my chest all the time. Kenny, do you feel that at all?
Yeah.
That pressure?
Especially when I'm sleeping or laying down, I can just feel how hard it is for like my heart to beat what would seem to be normal for most of you out there that are sleeping.
So there's a couple reasons. Anything from your ventricle, your LV wall, or your aorta. This is an extreme example. It can start to thicken up, and once it gets thicker and thicker, when it pumps, not enough blood goes through. So that would mean your blood pressure is probably going to go up, which yours doesn't. And then so you go from there. We start kind of troubleshooting. Then what would the next step be? Well, you're on diuretics, you don't feel any better on a diuretic, so it's probably not water around the heart, but the rapid weight gain in such a short amount of time. Something like that.
Okay, so my heart rate is elevated 24 hours a day. So is that just my heart working harder to pump blood through more mass?
Too.
Well, I woke up and my heart rate's 77 when I'm sitting in a chair, relaxed, which is a little bit lower. I think it was 80, and I don't know. It took a nebivolol. Nebivolol is a beta blocker that slows the heart rate.
Blood pressure too.
But it's still a little elevated, and my heart feels tired. So maybe I should be taking a nebivolol twice a day. Maybe.
No, you'll probably feel drained.
Drained.
Yeah, 77.
My heart needs a break, right?
You want to worry when it starts getting to 100 is when you get tachycardia. That's considered tachycardia. 90 would be where I'd say, all right, something needs to happen. Something's going on. But you have so much size from your heart. So there's pressure and then how fast it beats. Yours is beating faster rather than the pressure going up. And that might be because your blood pressure is so low because you take things that are like a PDE5 inhibitor, nebivolol, anything that would lower your blood pressure can also compensate with the heart rate. So usually they combine these. Some doctors will combine drugs for that. But yeah, so the more you get nitric oxide, anything that's going to dilate them, you might get that effect because it has to beat more because it doesn't move as fast or as far. So it's doing this, so it has to go like that.
So I feel like the healthiest thing is after a blast like this, like another quick fast or something to drop my body weight down, give my heart a break, do some cardio.
Do it in an increment. So incrementally start coming down and wing your system up. You don't want to cold turkey, even though you're not going to get the same effects if you did a 12-week cycle. But still, over the next week, wing yourself down when it comes to the diet and the training, and then go right into a fast. Get all that stuff out of your system.
Okay, let's go over here. Let's wake up Russo right now. Russo? Come on, let's get shaved. On time for your steroid shot.
I don't know how I'm supposed to keep it together on that.
Okay, let's go outside.
Busy day today. Today we're at Super Training Gym. We're going to go on a podcast with Chris Bell, and then we're going to do interviews with Sarmageddon's Andrew, and we're going to train right here in Super Training Gym where Coach Trevor's going to teach some of his weightlifting secrets to Kenny Ko and Ryan Russo for the Transformation Series. And then we're going to go shopping for food, take a nap, and then we're going to go to the grand opening of ProTerp, which is a super advanced cannabis manufacturing facility that takes the cannabis plants and breaks it down into all its individual terpenes and makes incredible, innovative new medical products out of cannabis. And then we're having a little dinner at my house with the bodybuilders all coming over to celebrate the Transformation Series. Starts with Brock's commentary about what we're doing.
I just want to let you guys know the gym will be open at 1:30. They have another photo shoot that they have to accomplish. So 1:30 will be the time that they said that they'd be able to get.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then Brock.
But like, with what he's doing, there's a mentality of wanting more. So I'm kind of with him on that. He's wanting to push himself like beyond what his body's capable of. So there is a mental side where you're like, I want more. Like, I want more, I want more. So I can see why he's doing it. But they're also taking a risk, seeing what he can get, and we'll see how it goes.
Doing the enhanced transformations, 20 to 30 pounds of muscle in 30 days. Regan, do you think that's possible?
Yes, you're going to reach your goal of strength. Yes, you're going to reach your goal of physique. But there is side effects. There's side effects to your health, your fertility, different things.
What do I think about steroids? I don't think I can put a classification
By
on
simply
it.
taking a multivitamin or taking this creatine supplement or taking, some supplement that wasn't how they actually got their physique. So it's just lie after lie after lie, and eventually I had enough, and I didn't want people to be in the same boat I was in, first getting into the industry, and just getting into it right off the bat, knowing exactly what it takes to get that physique. So,
well, speaking of transparency, we have one more guest. It's our boy Russo. And you, Kenny KO and Russo, you have committed to be in a documentary with my boy Dr. Tony Huge and Trevor. This is where it comes full circle. And another guy, Akash, right? He's the other guy in it. So they are going to try to put on 20 pounds of muscle in 30 days and prove it, and do it by any means necessary. So Russo, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this.
So I was already doing this by myself when I first started, because when I decided to become enhanced, when I went onto the forums, I realized you don't really know who's on the opposite side of that account. Like, they're not posting pictures, they're not being detailed. So I thought, why not just video log my cycles and see my results, and then people could take away from the logs my side effects and my benefits.
So you're just like a guy on the internet that was really interested in steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, and you said, well, I'm just going to throw myself into this and put the information out so it can help people, right? So there's two sides of this coin, and any of you guys can jump in here. We'll just have a conversation. Let's try not to talk over each other or anything like that. Let's just keep it smooth. So basically, the idea of the movie Tony Huge, why don't you explain the entire idea of the movie from your standpoint? You are the Enhanced Athlete CEO, so let's hear it from you.
So Generation Iron produced the first enhanced movie, and it went really good, much better than they expected, because in the past, their movies all centered around a famous fitness celebrity. And in this movie, you had me, who's not really at the celebrity level of these Olympia champion bodybuilders that have a huge following. So they had such a good response from it, but the response was also that we talked a lot about advanced human chemistry and pioneering human evolution, but people wanted specifics. People wanted specific examples, they wanted specific data, they wanted to see transformation. So this second movie, this Enhanced 2, came about by popular demand, and that's exactly what we're doing. The transformations, showing everything behind the scenes. We're going to be doing multiple transformations during this movie. So we've got Akash and I doing the 20 pounds in 30 days. Then Kenny and Russo came out here, and they're trying to put on as much muscle in 7 days as possible. And we're actually learning a lot of patterns through this. Some of these transformations might not be successful. I mean, we might set out to build a certain amount of muscle in a certain amount of time, and instead we might fall short, or we might actually exceed that. In Akash's example, we're actually going to exceed that. In Russo and Kenny's, I think we're actually going to exceed our goal. My goal for them was 15 pounds in 1 week. I think we're going to exceed that. But now I'm seeing that the potential is even greater than I ever thought. I think we could have put on more muscle than we originally thought. But the limiting factors, I'm starting to learn. And Trevor's seeing this too, because Trevor's coaching all of us, and he's recognizing definitely the drugs are not the limiting factor. We have nailed the chemistry. Trevor, what are you seeing that is a limiting factor in this transformation that we could improve in the future ones? Because we're going to be doing more transformations for this documentary.
The first thing would actually be myostatin. Myostatin, cows can eat grass and put on that much muscle as well. If you were to turn that switch off, we could get to that point too. But with them, it's the food. So drugs, you can only build so much muscle, but if you don't have the building blocks, that's your foundation of a house. So you just get rid of that, you can't build a house, it'll fall apart. That's it.
Trevor, tell me, first of all, and just speaking to the mic a little bit more, what did you guys, so you used to play football, you were on JV, as you explained before, when my brother was coaching varsity. You were a football player, and then the next time I saw you was 10, 12 years later. Yeah. And you're just monstrous. And I was like, holy shit, what happened? So what did happen in between, and how did you get so big, and how did you get so schooled on all these drugs?
So that happened probably 2 to 3 years after high school. I was about 270 when I was 20, and then so I'd already put the weight on by then. Over the 10 years though, I was on and off. So on and off, I'd gotten to about 285, but leaner than I was at 270. But it was all experiments. So my last competition I was going to do actually was hindered. I went through divorce, had the shoulder surgery and repair. And then, so I gave it up, but I didn't stop the experiment. So I just finished like what Dan Duchesne had started, I guess.
That's interesting that you brought up Dan Duchesne, because when I made Bigger, Stronger, Faster, to me that was the ultimate compliment when people were like, hey, you're like a new Dan Duchesne.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't go into the depths that he did of like these crazy extreme muscle experiments, but you guys are. You guys are actually sort of going a lot more towards that template. What are you doing to make sure that these guys are safe and healthy? And honestly, my fear is that like somebody would die doing this.
Yeah, so he did put out DMP and Helios, so everyone knows that. That is Dan Duchesne. So if you don't know him, go look him up. He's gone, but amazing person. So about these kind of transformations, right? The whole reason behind it is so you can avoid side effects in the long term. You know, when you have myocardial issues, I mean, any issue that's going to come from steroids and adding this much weight over a period of time, it's a safer way of going about it. In the 7 days, as long as we're controlling the factors or the variables, it's only 7 days, not enough to cause permanent damage unless you have to do a lot, because it can all come back and you won't have time for your kidney to go up either.
So basically, like anabolics in a short term aren't really something, there's not really an amount. I mean, I'm sure there is an amount somewhere, but there's not like an amount of testosterone that's going to kill you in a week or in a month. It's going to take a lot longer than that, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, and it comes so much in the lifestyle, and it's the secret killers too. You have no idea what's going on when you can maybe check your blood pressure, but hardening of the arteries, you don't know when that's happening. It's plaque buildup. It's all these small things. Left ventricle hypertrophy, just one day gone.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't.
What about some of these other agents that you guys use? I know, like you guys have talked about. We were talking about Dan Duchesne, so we might as well dive in. You guys have talked about using DNP and stuff like that. Now, this is something where you're trying to put on weight. So are you using stuff for fat loss that could be dangerous like that?
Yeah. So we actually have a guy doing a fat loss transformation. But if you were to say dangerous compounds, I would say DNP would be one of the lesser. Any of the beta-2 or any of the stimulants that affect epinephrine or norepinephrine, I would say, are more dangerous. They tax the heart more. When I was in the wheelchair, they actually found that I had a couple things wrong with my heart. So the enlargement was normal, but it's an electrical misfire that happens, same as Palumbo. So we caught it really early, and that was lucky. But even the doctor said that was not from the steroids. It was from, I used to use the Helios, the same stuff, in clenbuterol all the time.
Yeah.
Just to lose that weight and come in.
What is Helios? You keep saying that.
It's so it's a combination of clenbuterol hydrochloride and yohimbine hydrochloride, but in an injectable solution.
Oh wow, yeah, that's powerful.
So very, very powerful. But it's so much worse on your heart, even though it doesn't give you this effect as much. It's actually supposed to drop your blood pressure. But so you're taking all you want, you don't feel this, but internally this is what's happening times 10. You just don't feel it.
Our boy Kenny KO over here, I know him from his videos. I watch all his videos. I am enamored with fake natties. I think it's hilarious. I think the whole scenario is interesting, and also I think it's bullshit that people pass themselves off as being natural and like, hey, buy my product, you know. But I never actually knew you to be yourself a drug guy. I had heard you talking a little bit about doing some SARMs before your competition. You looked incredible in your, I think it was a physique competition.
Yeah, great.
You looked awesome, man. Like I that's when like I became a real fan. I'm like, oh, this guy's actually legit. Also, he's not just some guy spouting out bullshit. He actually is living the life. What was your decision to sort of get involved with taking anabolics, and then what was your decision to like get involved with this documentary?
Yeah, so It's funny you bring that up. I get questions all the time. I still have people that say they've been subscribed to my channel since day one, that thought I've been natural since day one. I've touched on it like so many times. I'll probably have to indefinitely the rest of my life. But the first time I ever touched anabolics wasn't even for bodybuilding, it was for sports performance, because I was going to try, I was currently in semi-pro football, and I was trying to go next level, go NFL or go CFL, the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, you're a huge dude. That's a lot of people.
So I wasn't even concerned about muscle mass. I was just going for like the explosive power, the speed, everything that comes along with that. So I wasn't even doing the right type of training, right type of nutrition, anything along those lines. Obviously it didn't pan out or work out the way I wanted, so I had no reason to continue anabolics. Went natural then from there on, and then that was when I kind of stumbled across enhanced athlete, the SARMs movement. That caught my interest a lot, because anytime you hear something that's steroid-like results without the side effects, I think anyone's going to become intrigued and want to know more and want to dive in a little bit further and see what this new product is that's out on the market. So of course I experimented with that, started to see pretty good results actually, and as I mentioned, little to no side effects as well. So that was where it really kind of started, and this, as you touched on, the competition I did, that was a SARMs only cycle for that contest prep. So I wanted to
you're
see
going to say it was a
exactly-
SARMs only competition. I'm like, where do you sign up?
Yeah.
So it's a SARMs only cycle.
You have to take SARMs in order to do this competition. No.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
But yeah, the SARMs only cycle. So I wanted to see how far I could push my physique without taking any testosterone, any well-known compounds that are known in the competition world, the trenbolone, the Winstrol, Anavar, anything along those lines, and just see how far I could push my physique just using SARMs only. And it actually panned out really well, and I liked the results. I felt really well during the whole cycle. Of course, afterwards, very suppressed, because I wasn't running any base tests, anything along those lines. So you have to run PCT afterwards, try and get all your levels back to natural and work through that whole process. But then, as I mentioned, with the sports performance, I've done the anabolics in the past. I wanted to see the difference of doing a prep of only SARMs, and now my next show, which Tony is also going to be doing the same show, the Tahoe show in August. I want to see how different my physique will be using anabolics versus SARMs only cycle. So,
And by August, though, you'll be shredded.
yeah, so I want to come in, and ideally, if I could somehow hit like 215 on stage, I'd be stoked on that. If I came in even leaner too.
That'd be pretty jacked. So Russo, what you guys are doing is both really brave. It's important. It's interesting. But it's a big gamble. A lot of people be like, as much as people will say, hey, this is important, so we know about this stuff, other people will come down on you and say, like, I can't believe you did that, or I can't believe you took that. And so what was the decision to get involved in this, and how do you feel about, are you nervous about it coming out and stuff like that?
No, I'm not really nervous. I mean, my YouTube channel, if you look at it, is pretty much exactly what this documentary is.
What is your YouTube channel, by the way?
It's Ryan Russo.
Ryan Russo. All right, cool.
Which was, I would just be like, I'm going to do this cycle, and then day one I make a video. Day four I make a video, these are my side effects, and then I get my blood work done, be like, okay, this was effective, this was effective, this was effective. So I was already doing that, and just to have it on a larger scale, because like this documentary is what the bigger bodybuilders, like this cycle is what the bigger bodybuilders have to go through on a year round. And I feel like absolute garbage just on day 6. So that puts into perspective just how crazy the level of high-end bodybuilding is. And I think that this documentary is really going to open the eyes to a lot of people on what goes on at the top of bodybuilding and the top level of chemistry that's needed just to create these freaky mass monsters.
I think you're right, and I also think that just losing weight in general, getting in shape in general, for me, made me have a completely different mindset towards bodybuilding, where I used to think like, it's just, they're bodybuilders, they're just naturally like that. And when you actually start trying to get shredded, it's really, really hard, and it takes a long time, and there's a lot of effort that goes into that, So I think a lot of people don't get that. They just look, bodybuilder, he was born that way, or whatever,
The people that get to that point where you haven't even got to the other point where you put in the work. At this point, where if we're going to do this, we could go into a show, we might not even have to do cardio. Like, you can eat so much food till you physically want to barf, and you're losing weight. You can't grow enough.
Trevor, what's the protocol that these guys are on right now? What, he's talking about this crazy cycle. Are they on the same thing? Is it similar? What kind of?
We're trying to do it similar, but every person has to be different. There's no way if I couldn't control someone's water retention or their blood pressure, there'd be one, I'd probably take them off, but two, there'd be no reason I'd give them anadrols, D-balls, mix them together, do all these crazy things. So every person has to be individual, and they check, like we said, we have to check every day. There's a whole checkbox they have to go through, and sometimes they'll come out and I'll see his cheeks, and the first thing I'll do is be like, take the LASIK, or take this, and get rid of that. So yeah, everyone's is personalized. Has to.
And why is that? I mean, besides the fact that you're saying like it's a guy who, like, do you start them out on different stuff, or do you start them out on the same stuff and then make adjustments if it's not working?
So I do start off on always the same testosterone. I always get that in there, make sure that's in their system, and then the growth hormone. And so those are the two that always are in there. And the other reason for every individual, you go online and go to best cutting cycle, how to stack primo, how to stack this. You'll see every variant possible of this cycle, and it's because whoever was running it thinks this one's better because it was better for them. They got less side effects, more results. The same thing with each individual.
That's what's so hard to tell. So like, how do you become an expert on this stuff? Like, if you go online and even look up SARMs, you'll find 45 different sites. They all sell SARMs at the end of the story. After you read all this information, you'll see a place where you can buy it, or like it'll send you somewhere else.
They'll use our videos in it.
Yeah, and it's really crazy because it's hard for me to find any legitimate information on these things. So where are you finding legitimate information?
So you can have an account like within CBI. There's PubMed. There's so many places you can find them. But there are some that are hidden away that you really have to look for. But once you go into, like, they'll have folders and subfolders. Once you go in there, you'll go into the entire list. We have maybe 10, 11 SARMs in the market. I don't even know how many there are. They're just ongoing.
There's tons of them.
Ongoing. Whether they stopped it because they ran out of funding, they changed schools, whatever it was, there's so many out there.
And just so people know, SARMs are basically like research chemicals that they've found, like, hey, they were researching it as a drug or something, and maybe they found a side effect, or for whatever reason it got pulled off the market, and they're just kind of these old formulas been sitting around, right?
Yeah, it's something that maybe was going to clinicals, maybe it passed phase 1 and then just got left behind. Something happened along the way, they found an ill side effect of it, and they didn't want to continue and waste money. And instead of labeling this illegal or control, they just say it was in clinicals, gray area.
I heard you say something about growth hormone before. How do you think that works into like one of these anabolic things? Because we hear that it's not anabolic, right?
So I call it just anti-catabolic, and I call it more of a precursor. So you look at, and I think it's more of a precursor hormone, because it's not just IGF that this produces. I mean, there's variants of that, like the MGF, EGF, there's so many things that are produced from growth hormone. It's more of a precursor. And when you take it, you do get some positive protein synthesis to occur, but it's mainly just holding on to what you have and then telling your body to operate on fat. That's why you take insulin with it, and you won't get fat.
Don't want to be known for like putting out this information, but then in another way, don't want to be the guy that doesn't tell people like what actually is really going on. So for the most part, like, what are people taking, like, as far as testosterone doses, as far as steroid doses? What are a lot of the things that you're seeing to be very common?
So what I'll say is, out of the pros that I've known or worked with, they're not, I wouldn't say Mr. Olympia material, although 2 of them, 3 of them, being Indy Olympia, have not used more than 2 grams a year. I mean, and that's maybe 1,500. So you think 750 milligrams of test, this is prior to me, 750 milligrams of test, and the rest are anabolics. Not a lot. So genetics is huge. Genetics is such a big factor. But somebody always tells me, I can't build muscle, I can't lose fat. Well, you've only tried one way. You just told me, you only ate bad food and then you starved yourself. That's all you've ever done. you don't even know your genetics yet. Figure that out before you start running these. Save a lot of time.
Yeah. What have you found so far, Kenny, being challenging about this documentary you guys are putting together?
Being tired all the time, not being able to breathe.
So you're only doing 7 days and you're tired and beat up
Yeah,
already.
new respect for the pros that do this for their life and their job, full-time career, because I definitely couldn't do it. I'll stick to making YouTube videos and calling people out and exposing the industry and just being the skinny legend. But, you know, it's so taxing on the body, and it's becomes, like I mentioned, just a full-time job. The sleeping regimen, the amount of food you're consuming, being a pin cushion, the lethargy, as I mentioned, just being tired all the time. It's hard to even find the motivation to go train, whereas, you know, prior to coming here, you know, you take a pre-workout, you're pretty amped to hit the gym every single day. Now it becomes almost like routine where you're just like, okay, I need to go, you know, burn off the glycogen, stimulate the muscle, and then onto the food, onto the nap, you know, and it's just becomes this huge routine schedule.
Becomes a job.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think a lot of people realize who are watching, because they're just seeing the pictures, they're seeing the guys on stage, they're not seeing what led up to that whole process and how much time really dives like deep down into it, and it really opens your eyes to what's actually going on.
And lived the bodybuilding lifestyle for 1 week. I did kind of what you guys are doing here. And the eating, the sleeping, the injections, and it's a full-time, all-day job. And at the end of it, I was like, I can't imagine living this life. It's exhausting, and it's not fun anymore. And some of the pros that I trained with there, they weren't really having fun doing it either. I mean, they're hard workers, and they're training towards a goal, and they've got that goal in mind, you know, the Olympia. And so they're sacrificing, but they're not having a lot of fun doing it. It's hard work.
Definitely a different approach. And when you see the guys come into Gold's Gym, and you're like, you know, I was a young kid when I first got to Gold's in Venice, and I was 23 years old, and see these guys come in, and you'd like run up to Flex Wheeler all excited and wonder why he was kind of pissed off, or kind of, you know, it's like, because he's not having that much fun right now, right? And for the most part, most of the guys have been amazing to me, including Flex Wheeler. He's been one of my good friends. But in the beginning, and trying to get to know these guys, like, I didn't know any of them, and I would try to get to know them because I was fans of them, and they weren't always that nice, you know? Then being around the gym forever and making bigger, stronger, faster and stuff like that, a lot of people knew me more and stuff like that. But I can see what you're saying, because now when I go into the gym and I see the pros show up, I see them show up, and it's like they're showing up to work. They're showing up, they got their gym bag, they're focused, they walk in, they shake hands with Charles Glass, and they start going to work, you know, and they just go at it. And then when they're done, they're out, you know, and it's not it's the wannabe bodybuilders that hang out at the gym all day. The real bodybuilders, they come in, they do their shit, and they're out, and they're eating, you know. And it's a different lifestyle than I expected. I thought it was kind of all fun and games, you know.
I have this one image in my head of one of the pros just eating his rice, and he's just looking at the rice like he wants to throw up. He does not want to eat another spoonful of rice. And what we're experiencing here, even with Kenny and Russo, is like, they don't want to eat anymore. I don't want to eat anymore. We're already forcing ourselves to eat, and we don't even want to, and we're not even eating enough.
It's crazy. It's a life of abundance, but you still get sick of it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I try to explain to him. I did this for 9 years to that extreme. Family events, everything. That was my life. So that's why I kind of have a distaste, and I always say negative things about it. And then that's why when you're kind of going off when you train and doing videos, I don't ever say anything, because it's fun. It's funner instead of going in.
It's definitely a love-hate relationship. You know, I get up really early and come and train, and today was our day off, and I got up anyway at 4 o'clock in the morning, came here and did deadlifts. And it was like, as I'm doing, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? I don't even know at this point. Like, I'm just pre-programmed to like show up at the gym and do these things. But I think that I don't know. I think we all know, and we've all experienced that you become a better person for it, for putting yourself through the fire a little bit.
And then hard work, that kind of hard work, when you do it for so long, it's just ritual, and it comes easier and easier to people like us, or if you've done it before, as opposed to the average guy. How do you go so many times or find time to go to the gym? Because you did it for so long.
Yeah.
You can always manage your time.
But after this short cycle, these guys are going to go home. They're going to take a couple days off. they're going to drop a little bit of weight, get back into normal lifestyle, and they're going to find love for it again. So it's just overwhelming and exhausting while it's happening. But then after a little break, they're going to crave the gym again. They're going to enjoy food again.
Kenny wants to make YouTube videos, bro.
I'm just going to go back to my computer chair, sit behind my camera.
Shirts
Which,
off,
by the way,
pants
it brings
down.
up a point. I wanted to talk about, we've been touching on how taxing it is on the body, especially for the pros that do this year-round, for very little monetary value in the grand scheme of things. You know, some guys don't even get any prize money because they don't place well at the Olympia, yet they put in all that work for the whole year. And then versus you look at my situation, I'm not even training that hard, my diet's kind of whatever I want to eat, I'm still enjoying working out, and I'm sitting behind a computer just filming a video, probably making 10 times more money than the top IFBB pros. And it just shows, you know, taxing your body that much, is it worth it? Is it worth the sacrifice for something that's, because at least in my opinion, I always see people reaching out to me in the DM saying, how am I going to get sponsored? I want to be making all this money like the IFBB pros. And my first thing is, do you actually know how much an IFBB
I want to make
makes?
$53 also.
Exactly. I'm like, do you want to make like $10 a week? Or do you want to be in debt every single week from the amount of GH you're buying, all the different anabolics you're using, the amount of the food cost? I think people don't really realize that they're not actually
I think they don't
making
realize
as much
that
money.
probably a good portion, I would probably put it up at a pretty high percentage of IFBB pro bodybuilders who have that sort of, you know, got that pro card, whatever division that they're in. I'd probably put it up at like 80% of them are where they want to be financially, you know, or maybe even higher. Because all I know is what you're saying. All I see is, you know, we see very few people at the top. We see the Jay Cutlers and the people that have like been able to make money out of this. But you're right, and it actually sounds like you're kind of and it's not to put them down at all.
No, not at all.
It's very hard to make money.
I respect it immensely.
It's a very crowded space. And I know a lot of people that, you know, they come here from other countries and stuff. They don't speak the language that great. It's just hard for them to get the sponsorships, they're way bigger than I am, you know, but people come to me wanting to sponsor my Instagram or something, you know, like whatever, like, hey, we want to sponsor you. And I'm like, sponsor me. There's all these bodybuilders out there that have put in so much more. So it almost seems like, in a way, that this experience to you is almost like an epiphany. Like, hey, maybe what I'm doing is great for my life, actually. I actually like what I do. And maybe bodybuilding isn't what I want to pursue full time, you know?
I mean, my dad always ingrained in me from day one, work smarter, not harder. And this is like the perfect example. Like, at least for me, my opinion, you know, I don't want to bash anyone out there, especially because, like I mentioned, I have a massive amount of respect for any pro bodybuilder that does this year round, but it's just not everyone's cup of tea. I would rather, you know, make money an easier way, not tax my body year round, and get more enjoyment and not have to sacrifice as much.
It looks like Russo actually kind of might think a little different, though. He seems to love it. Well, at least he loved it when he got into it. We'll find out where he's at now. How do
You don't see all the other pros doing that. You know, he's really good on camera, and it shows with, you know, the success.
Yeah, sure. That's you know, Mark wasn't the best power lifter in the world. He was up there, but he wasn't the best. There's a lot of people a lot better than him. Yeah, but he can talk shit, you know. So people like that, you know. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting point too. How are you feeling about the actual transformation itself, and like, has your love of bodybuilding gotten, you know, bigger or smaller because of this, basically?
I mean, if it were me, like, alone and I wasn't being monitored by Trevor and Tony, I probably wouldn't take it to this extreme, honestly. I knew the cycle going in, how I was going to feel, because I played around with MK677, which is an oral growth hormone secretagogue. So, like, that kind of gives you a taste on the lethargy you get, the water retention you get.
The massive hunger you get.
Yeah, the hunger. You know, I knew I was going to feel like garbage, but I think it's a great learning experience. You know, now I have all the experience with insulin, GH, and everything, and I can voice my opinion online on how I felt.
Can you spell out what your cycle actually is?
Like Trevor said, it like literally changed pretty much every day, depending on how.
But like in general, like what is it, like a shot of test a day? Is it like a shot of test and 10 pills, or like
my normal cycle, or this cycle?
What you doing? What you're doing now? What are you guys doing now?
I can explain what they're doing now, like kind of day by day. Like, for example, the morning is when we're going to strategize, right? Well, usually the night before. But when we're going to the gym, what we're going to do, we take a look at where they're at. If we can correct whatever problems they had, if they had blood pressure, which they haven't really been, we start there. So today, we got to start putting weight on. We're going to use like an injectable ligandrol. We're going to use as much stuff as we can to put on this muscle. But when it comes to injections like that, maybe one day we're going to do trend, because I don't even do trend the whole time. And we pick 2 days to do trenbolone. So then I would do trend that day. We're trying to take advantage of this IGF boost, which comes from the growth hormone that you know about. And then, so that would be it. He might take an oral, but that would be it. And then the next day, or actually later that night, we're going to try and control their sugar. So we'll have insulin going with the growth hormone, but as they get more and more and eat more food, their insulin resistance goes up. We can add metformin, bedtime, slim pills. It's very easy to control, but we go by how, throughout the whole day, how they look and feel.
I remember way back, 1995 was the first time I ever went to the Arnold. I remember my roommate there was a bodybuilder, because I had to, like, I was traveling for some business thing, and he was a bodybuilder, and he would tell me that he would take insulin. This is 1995. Take insulin, then eat as much as he could, and then he would just basically pass out. And I was like, that was part of his training, right? And he was a top level guy. And that's the first time I had ever heard of it, but obviously that's still going on today. And that practice is actually pretty dangerous also. So how do you monitor these things with insulin?
So to put it in perspective, let's say 10-year-old girl is a diabetic type 1 her whole life. Unless she's on a pump, she's giving herself shots already. They'll leave it in the hands of a 10-year-old girl, but a bodybuilder will screw it up.
Yeah.
And think about that for a second, right? When people start with 10 units to 15 units now on a small frame and don't understand why I do 2 to 3 units. So it comes down that much more. And at the same time, if you were to eat a meal and knew don't take more than this amount, that's all you have to do. And because eventually your insulin resistance will go up and then it does nothing, or at least less. And that's what happens with this growth hormone. So we're checking their blood sugar. We even take perennial blood sugar. We do it all the time. And we'll see, like at nighttime, morning it went from 70 one time to 140? Or was it that high? Or?
Like 110.
Yeah, just in one day. So it's like, okay, we got to do this, and this, and that's how we
will help the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing.
The first thing you did with me, to be honest, was came up and started promoting the shit out of Kratom to everybody. I didn't even know you, and you were like, dude, try this guy's product. It's amazing. And I'm like, well, let me tell you why it's amazing first. And I was like, it helps all these people that are on opioids, to kick the opioid habit, and it just, but you just did that because you wanted to do it.
Yeah, and because we have something in common that we believe in, and there's a synergy that if I help you get the word out about Kratom and I bring attention to that, then more people are going to get on Kratom, and then selflessly, it's going to improve their quality of life. And selfishly, if I can create more people who embrace freedom and also a higher quality of life and understanding that chemistry can be used to improve our quality of life, then I can create more friends for both of us. More people that would, if you believe in a democratic system, that more people that would vote in favor of laws and a lifestyle that would be better for us and all the people we influence. So it's underneath everything I do is almost a political motive of embracing freedom and pioneering human evolution.
Here's a great question that all of you can answer one at a time, though. Why do we have such a problem with people being great and enhancing their performance?
It's different in every country. There's so many different cultures. In America, and you don't realize this until you step outside of America, America's a very jealous culture, and people want to put other people down to make themselves feel better. People feel inadequate when they see someone that's better than them. But also people in America on the flip side feel very bad when they see someone that's worse off than them. So as long as we bring people up to our level or beneath us, we want to help them. We don't want to help them be better than us.
Yeah, no,
and that's the American culture. And I guess maybe I'm delusional in thinking that I'm so amazing that I feel like nobody can even reach my level, that I will just help everybody get as high as they can. Or maybe I just feel like at a certain level we're all equal, that is if I have this sort of negative cultural influence of me having been raised in America. Maybe I just feel like once you're at a certain level, we are all equal, and I just want to get everybody up to that level. But yeah, that's exactly
a
what I
rising
see.
tide raises all ships, they say, and that's what we always say.
That's a perfect quote.
We say that around here. It's like, hey man, if you're gonna make that guy better, it's just to make us all better, you know?
Yes, and when you get into when you build a small community, it's hard to do on a larger scale, but you see it in smaller communities. When you have a small community where everybody's building each other up, it's like a miracle. I mean, you get goosebumps. It's so inspiring. You just don't. When the communities get bigger and bigger, and the media and the cities, you start getting more of that negativity of trying to push people down. But then that's why I like traveling, and I see some of these cultures in other countries where everybody brings everybody up. And I want to try to make America like that. I mean, that's the patriot inside me. Part of me hates America for where it is right now, but part of me is like the same patriots that created America from England, which is that, hey, America can be something better and something great, and it's worth fighting for, and it's worth sacrificing for.
Russo, why do you think people are so...
But I think they want the public to think that it's drug testing. I mean, drug testing has gone way better, but I think it comes down to, like, I don't want to take that. Like, everyone else is going to take that to be the best, but I don't want to take that. They want to remove that. But when you think about it, people naturally start off with way higher hormones than other people. People are much taller than other people.
Yeah.
Like, there's all advantages, so why not use chemistry to even that out? That's my opinion, but it's definitely has to do, in my opinion, around keeping sports clean.
How you feel about it, Kenny KO?
Oh, very interesting note on it.
Let's hear it.
So, I think people don't want the standard raised. So anytime you allow performance-enhancing substances, it means anyone, say, if we're taking sports, for example, pretty much every single athlete knows at that point they're going to have to take it to compete at that level with the other athletes. So even though 9 out of 10 of the fastest runners in the world have tested positive for anabolics at some point, doesn't mean that they didn't open up about what they took.
Yeah.
So a lot of them claim natural, of course, got caught, got exposed for it, claimed that they took a supplement that unknowingly had anabolics in it. But as soon as you make it legal, it raises that standard that I think a lot of people are scared of. And they realize that they're going to have to then make that jump into that world. Even though it's already going on and they don't realize it behind closed doors, that majority of people are already taking all these substances. They're just claiming natural behind it for legal purposes or for their contracts with supplement companies, or they're not allowed to talk about it, or for their ego. They want to claim to be the biggest natural of all time, the best athlete that's natural of all time. It raises that standard where then everyone knows they're probably going to have to take it to compete.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, man.
Yep.
Trevor, you laughed when I asked this question. Why do you think people are so worried about people enhancing their own performance?
Because you hate someone that's smarter than you. If you want something bad enough, and you do everything it takes, right? You learn, and that's all it is. You learn about substances that can make you better. You train hard. You do everything you need to do to make it right. But the person who knows more might be the winner. You might be a better physical specimen, but I can take this and now beat your genetics. But it's who is learning. So I think they're upset because there's just smarter people.
Is there going to be something, you're the perfect person to ask this. I believe there will be, because there always is. Is there something coming beyond steroids and SARMs? And then, like, when can we expect that? Do you have anything that you know of right now that's sort of coming up in the world of performance enhancement?
Yes, I mean, they're already in there, but they don't know how to put them into use.
Sort of like genetic doping, or are you thinking something different?
I think that's going to take a long time to perfect, because you don't just turn a gene switch off. Maybe for a short period of time, maybe to a virus for 7 days or something. But I think it's going to take a long time, because if you shut any of these down, you're going to have those bulls, or the cows,
so,
Belgian ones.
And you're right. Like, for example, people think SARMs are new, but some of these patents date back to like the early 1900s and stuff. Like, you're looking at the study dates, and you're like, wow, they've been studying this for a pretty long time.
And it's funny because
and a lot of them are from the 50s and stuff. It's weird.
Even though they seem new, when they make designer anabolics, half of those were already synthetic anabolics. You're just changing the carbons, changing where your double bonds are. That's the same thing. So you can make synthetic and designer steroids, or they were coming out at the same time this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's not very effective. They don't know how it works. But 1950s makes sense.
Yeah. I think if you know some people that are
Signals the body to over repair the tissue.
It's a PGF pill. If you know PGF,
what is PGF?
It's a site enhancement, kind of like a PRP in the sense that it causes inflammation, and then your body recovers that. It repairs that area greater. So same thing, but
like
it's just
synthol almost, but
no, because it's just the synthol sits there like a.
It's not an oil. This is just creating inflammation.
Yeah, and then those markers will come. The IGF will come repair, and so it grows greater than the other muscles around it. Oh. So the pill works overall systemically.
How are you guys monitoring the weight gain and the weight loss and everything? You're doing it by body fat? What's going in, all that stuff?
We got a DEXA scan at the beginning, and we'll get a DEXA scan again tomorrow. That'll help us determine what is fat mass versus lean mass. Then we're doing our fasted body weight every day, and also our body weight while we're at the gym, because all of these are going to fluctuate. So if we have, you could sort of do a chart of three different tests and figure out what's going on as far as water retention, mass gain.
And we obviously we don't want to ruin anything that's going to be in the movie, but we do want to give people like a little teaser here. Are these experiments like working? Are they not working? Or some of them working, some of them not working? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, what's your total weight up, Kenny?
Gained 75 pounds and no, I'm just good spoiler.
He already hit it.
It's only 6 days in.
They both hit the
I showed up fasted day one at 230 pounds, and then I'm seeing fluctuating around 250, 251 in that range.
And what about you, Russo?
I was 204 when I came here after a flight across the country, and then I weighed in this morning at 225.
Where are you from?
Pittsburgh.
And did you come out here just to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty intense, huh?
Yeah.
What's it?
Especially intense when you don't eat and you have to fly and smoke airplane food all over.
So you had to fast the whole.
All right, so this was the last training session of the 7-day transformation. I do have one more vlog for you guys, day 8, but day 7, this is the end of the 7-day transformation. When I first came to Sacramento from Pittsburgh, I was 3 days fasted, walking around 204 pounds. And then if you guys go back and you watch the first training session that was done for this transformation type, documentary thing, I looked natty, I looked small, tiny, I didn't even look like I personally lifted, honestly. And if you see me at the end of this footage, it's like I'm two different people. So there's a 24-pound difference between day 1 and day 7 of walking around weight. Actually, of morning weight, but walking around weight is a little bit more. And the fullness was crazy this workout. I remember that the HGH Insulin had me so pumped up that it literally hurt just to hold the dumbbells. And I kept cramping and locking up, just gripping dumbbells, and they weren't even anything heavy. They're like 35, 40-pound dumbbells. And I asked Coach Trevor, and Coach Trevor says that most of the pros who run these monster cycles that we were mimicking to show, what a serious-ish cycle looks like, most of them train with straps on pretty much everything. They train with straps even on like chest and stuff, just so they don't have to have the pain of gripping the weights. And I was definitely just fighting the extreme cramping I had going on. But as you can see from this footage, my fullness compared to day 1 to day 7 is, in my opinion, night and day. And I know it's from the insulin and GH, glycogen retention and bloat. But I think I put on around 3 to 4 pounds of actual muscle within these 7 days, which is crazy considering, how much muscle people gain in a year. The amount of muscle I was able to put on within these 7 days. But Coach Trevor took us through the entire workout. He taught me a lot of cool little tiny tricks to hit more of the muscle fibers, stimulate all the fibers of the muscle, and show me angle switches and everything. Tony was looking crazy this entire time. He's so lean at such a high body weight for him. He almost looks, in my opinion, a bit too big. I can tell he really doesn't like sitting at that heavy of a weight. He's just, he's having a crazy transformation just to show that he can do it. But it's not all water with Tony. Like, looking at Tony in person, there's not much water and fat on him. And he's significantly bigger from the last time I've seen him. So this methodology that Coach Trevor has is 100% accurate. I mean, there's no denying that this setup works short term. There was already a transformation done in the Philippines that they were telling me about, where I was like, am I going to keep this muscle? Like, am I just going to go home and deflate rapidly? And I'm going to post current posing footage and everything you guys can see. If you guys have been following my Instagram, I've been posting recent pictures and stuff about how I'm currently looking. I don't look as crazy as I do on all these androgens, obviously, but I kept pretty good, decent amount. I'm going to do posing footage and side-by-sides and a recap video, so, you can be the judge for yourself. But, I asked them, am I going to keep this muscle, or is this muscle just going to fly off? They told me to go into like a much higher dosage cruise for a while to maintain the new size, but they did have one person already put on 20 pounds, and he kept all 20 pounds. They showed me pictures and everything. He had a bit more of a noob gains phase, where I think I'm a tiny bit past the noob gains phase as far as, the amount of time I've been lifting. I've been lifting for a number of years now, where the guy they did the transformation, I think he was only like lifting sporadically, and maybe like a solid year of training, if that. So he had more of a noob gains, but I'm surprised I maintained a lot more of the size than I thought. I literally thought the minute the GH and Insulin left, I would rapidly, lose everything and go back to being small. But that wasn't the case, and I'm going to show that after day 8. So be sure to check that out. As you can see, my delts are looking crazy in this video, but Coach Trevor dwarfs me, and yeah, just this whole workout was crazy intense, and this whole week was, I learned a ton. It was exhausting, but overall I hope this opens people's eyes on what goes on the top level of bodybuilding.
So today's the last day. Tony talks to us about kind of like a cool thing that's happening right now, eating. So right now we're eating. We have not eaten enough during this transformation. I'm going to try to make up for it tomorrow morning, and snacking tonight. But it's just another lesson that, there's always a bottleneck. There's always a limiting factor. And if you want to grow muscle as fast as possible, or anything in life, you have to figure out what the bottleneck is. People pay too much attention to things that they're good at or that come easy, and they ignore the part that's actually bottlenecking the progress. For us, it's food, and we should actually be training twice a day, but we've been training once a day, and even then we're a little bit distracted because Kenny KO's got so many fans. They swarm us. It's like those movies where they just dog pile on top of you, and you can't even lift a weight. I'm just kidding. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but it's hard. It's hard to get a workout in, isn't it, Kenny? Because you have a lot of fans. I have fans. Russo has fans. Kenny has more than both of us combined.
Knife disappear.
Caveman.
Huh?
It's about the caveman.
All this hot man here eating even the spoon and the fork and the knife.
How's it feeding all this hungry ass, big ass dudes?
I have to, huh?
So just be like, feeding this guy is like...
Feeding this feeding these guys like makes me hungry because I need to give up my food just to feed them.
How much food did you have to cook?
A lot. A lot of food. Always hungry. Every an hour, they're always here. Like they don't want to go in their bedroom. Just want to stay in the kitchen and eat.
Can you cook for them? Do you think you can cook a whole year for them?
Oh, I quit. I'm gonna quit. It's a lot of work, actually. You know, I thought Cali was a lot of work, but it's not. This hat man, big man.
Feeding us.
Look at that compared to mushrooms.
never
Mushrooms
had
felt
enough.
like Adderall to me.
Low dose mushrooms feels like Adderall. Very focused. Good concentration. I totally understand why microdosing mushrooms is beneficial for people who need really good mental performance and focus. Taking too much mushrooms means you can't tell what dimension you're in. So you can't get anything. I couldn't even look at my phone because if I looked at my phone, I would be inside the phone.
That's the level I like to get to
Yeah.
with mushrooms. But I prefer LSD drugs, man.
I
like them both.
LSD just lasts too long. Like after 6 hours, you're like, all right, I'm done. And you have another 6 hours.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It's just like, fuck. It's
That's
like
why you guys need to try DMT. 8 minutes.